Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today for this week's Friday ArcheAge Livestream. My name is Merv, I go by Crolin, I'm a senior producer for ArcheAge. With me today I have Amory, her name is Amanda, and she's also a producer for ArcheAge, and over Skype, Serafina, she's our senior community manager, she goes by Celestrata. We are so damn excited for 3.0, we can't even contain it. I know you guys are too. What's going on? How's it going? Happy Friday.
Guys, Merv is so excited. He has a beard.
I know.
That's what has happened.
It's
So I'm not going to delay
useful.
much longer. I think everyone wants me to wants all of us to jump straight into talking about Revelation and all the questions that surround it. You mentioned we're going to be on PTS today. Come run around with us. And without further ado, let's get into one giant live stream of answering questions, which are pulled from both the forums and the chat. So if you have questions, toss them in the chat. We're totally all about it, and we'll answer them as we can. Obviously, chat's going to be moving very quickly today, I assume, because we have a lot of people here. So let's just get right to it.
All right, let's do it. We're going to jump in game right now. We're on our PTS server today. Amory is driving a Dwarven character that she is very proud of.
I'm very proud of.
We'll just be running around in game. We're going to show off some stuff and take your questions as we do so. This is a standard Q&A live stream about 3.0. And yeah, we have a lot to cover, so let's jump into it.
Yep. So the first question, I mean, there are two major questions that we've gotten off the top of the bat. I'm going to get to number two in a second, but number one is larceny. There's been a lively debate on the forums about larceny. We've already looked into it, and I've already responded to that thread by saying, hey, the larceny changes that you're seeing are equal to the other regions, but some people still have this concern that there are different drop rates in our version in comparison to the drop rates in KR and RU for purses, crates, and lockboxes, and they're wondering, they're concerned that this is going to impact the larceny profession in a poor way.
Yep, there have been changes to it, as you guys have seen. It's mostly due to the drop rate and the reevaluation of the way that the coin purse mechanic works. As you guys know now, it's primarily divided into the new coin purses, which have coin, and supply crates, which provide the additional items like Archeum and Mysterious Garden Powder, those sorts of things. So one of the main reasons that change happened was to give you guys more flexibility about what type of coin purse you can open. Now with that change came around a bunch of other ones, including the rate at which those items drop and the loot tables on both of them. This has been, we saw the original concerns about, how does the NA and EU versions compare to other regions, and we had XL check that out about 3 days ago when the topic was brought up from PTS. And XL has verified that it is consistent across the board for all regions, and NA EU actually has a slight advantage when it comes to drop tables from opening those items. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Now, we've received a lot of feedback, those things being said, and are evaluating it. So that doesn't mean that this sort of thing can never change. But for 3.0, right now, we're going to see how the current implementation works and make the decisions based on that. So thanks for being open to seeing those changes play out when 3.0 releases.
Yep. Thank you, guys. And obviously keep sending us your feedback in the larceny thread that's going on in the PTS forums. I know a lot of you guys have been making a lot of threads literally all over the place. I've been catching them in general. I've been catching them in feedback. Right now, we're trying to focus all of the feedback on Revelation in the PTS forum, so that way we're not running around all over the place, and we could be missing some stuff. We don't want to miss any of your comments. So keep it to the PTS forums if you don't mind. We really appreciate it. It helps us out a lot, and it helps you guys get heard a lot quicker. Now, the second big thing we want to talk about today is taxes, and I've seen this from both legacy players and new players, that obviously taxes are having a large shift in 3.0. It's in the patch notes right now, and Merv, you just made another addition to it just to spell it out a bit longer. People are concerned that they're going to be affected because they have a lot of properties, and they're not sure how to go about dealing with that right now. So what can players do to help deal with those tax changes coming in?
It's a valid concern. I mean, we did receive the questions based on the original update note that was out there, and I decided that we should just be transparent with the way that the taxes are being increased. So we post the actual table in the update notes, and you can see how that mostly affects, I would say, the having more than 6 buildings, and then also it's kind of an incremental scale from the beginning. Of course, the first 2 buildings you place are still not modified by a compound tax. But the general consensus here is that single characters own more land than was originally intended for what ArcheAge supports. This has caused problems in the past for things like people monopolizing lands in certain areas. So with 3.0, that was kind of the global real estate in ArcheAge was reevaluated. The amount of characters that kind of interact with that and what one character should be able to hold. Now, we allow you to hold up to 10 properties. You just have to deal with the increased taxes. So it's just, I would say it's a change to the system overall. And of course, it's been perceived in different ways just because paying more taxes for land is, in my opinion, a negative thing, but it's also what's appropriate for the game at this time. There are some things that have been added to kind of offset that. It's not a direct offset, but one of the most notable is with the construction proficiency at the 230k skill famed rank. Construction proficiency players gain the ability to craft tradable tax certs. So that does mitigate it to a degree because tax certs will be more available on the marketplace due to that having that ability. But this is one of those changes. It's kind of like the vocation changes or loot changes. It's just part of 3.0, and it was made in the overall design scope for 3.0.
Yeah, and there are a bunch of changes coming in, which are, people are going to have to be working around this time. But moving on.
One more note on that. So when Korea had originally proposed the tax increases, they were much steeper than they are on our version. The other versions of ArcheAge have a steeper tax increase for fewer plots of land. The earlier stages of land are more affected, and the overall increase is comparable to our end increase from buildings 8 to 10. But for North America and Europe versions, we do have a reduced scheme when compared to other regions, and that was something that we pushed for. We understand the logic behind the tax increase, but we mitigated it as much as possible.
Yes. That's cool to hear. Thank you very much for that. That's some awesome extra information on top of it. So moving away from taxes, those are the top two issues right now. But there's a third, and one that we've been working on just a little bit. Various members of the community have also talked about a difference in Gildastar gain between the new races and the old races. And is that something we're going to be addressing in a future patch or something like that?
It is, and this is probably one of the most important topics we've talked about over the last 2 days. There are plenty of topics that have top tier concern right now, but this is especially one of them. So you guys who have been playing PTS have noticed that Dwarves and Warborn gain levels at an expedited rate, but they gain Gildastars slower than the existing races. One of the things that you guys may not know about North America and Europe ArcheAge is, at release, Trion increased the number of Gildastars that we're giving out through early stage quests. From the 1 through 30 quests for the legacy races, you would obtain 30 Gildastars in a Korean or Russian version of ArcheAge. For North America and Europe, you receive 57. That was a change that was made to allow Gilda to come into the world earlier, so you could afford things based on having completed the story quest line. That was not originally included with the Dwarf and Warborn changes for us. So Dwarves and Warborn on PTS currently gain 30 Gildastars for the completion of their task. And again, those early 15 Gildastars, which is kind of the point of contestant for rushing, was gained at a later level for them. So what we've done is evaluated the rate at which all races can acquire 15 Gildastars and the total amount of Gildastars that they obtain at the end of those quests, and we brought those more closely in line. So Dwarf and Warborn will receive the full 57 amount of Gildastars and will receive a slight increase in the amount of Gildastars that they get earlier. Now, there are still, not everything is 100% equal, and some races do have an advantage over other ones. But that's kind of by design because there are a lot of other things to consider, like the amount of distance that a race needs to run when they're acquiring land, their general position starting out in the world, the distance between quests, and then of course Dwarf and Warborn having the advantage in the middle game, definitely with their new forms. So these are all things that have been taken into consideration. It was a kind of really big thread on the forums and definitely a hot topic on PTS. It's been evaluated and brought more in line across the board.
All right then. I actually, not to skip backwards, but we're going to skip backwards for a moment to taxes. A question came up from chat and from Little Misgiving. Are you counting solar, lunar, and stellar farms and pavilions against the number of properties owned by an individual? And I know you were just looking into this literally right before we actually walked into the room.
I was, because
we were just...
Yep. When I look at that system, the design intent for it is for the solar, lunar, and stellar farms to not be affected by taxes, the compounding nature of them, and also not count as a building. On the 3.0 Revelation build, that's also the case. I believe some of that confusion about whether they do count as a building or not is kind of brought around just by the way taxes are compounded for having other buildings. So if you see your overall taxes increase, you might infer that the reason is due to your stellar, solar, or lunar farm, but the reality is it's just a function of the other structures that you have exceeding the structure maximum. On the Revelation build, those farms do not count as land occupied and also do not cost compounded taxes for having multiple other lands.
And I'd say if anyone notices anything, there actually, as I said before, there is a thread running in the PTS forums about that very issue. And if you guys see anything wrong or see anything that you think is a bug, because they should not be increasing those numbers, just let us know and drop by that thread. It would be super helpful. I just posted in there just to make sure if there was any like specific one that was doing it, and I'll keep my eye on it for later. All right, so another question that just came up from chat. And it is from Kenya Mountain Valley. This is a good question. Will the Steam version work with the launch of Fresh Start servers? And I think he's asking that because there currently is that bug on the PTS and ETS servers where when you launch from Steam, it fails to launch right now. And there is a workaround available for that. But will it launch? Will that work with the live servers and the Fresh Start server come launch time?
Yeah, Steam actually uses a version of Glyph, and Glyph is really kind of the deciding factor of that. The Fresh Start servers are on the existing region scheme as legacy servers. That's why you guys can see them when you log into the game, even though you might not be able to access them. And it is the intent that that's usable for Fresh Start at release.
Cool. And it should work. I mean, there's no... it should be working. Everything works fine from Steam now, so we should be good. All right. So this is a question which just is boggling everyone. What is the mysterious invitation?
Well, if I told you, then it wouldn't be mysterious, right?
Yes.
Okay, next question. No, wow. I'm just kidding. All right, the mysterious invitation, you guys are seeing this on PTS. It's that mythic grade quest starter when you log into your character. Basically, any character that's above level 5 after the release of the update will receive this thing. The way it works is a little bit odd, but when you consume it, it basically gives you 2 new achievements and encourages you to try out a dwarf or a warborn. And if you end up leveling a dwarf or a warborn to level 30, you end up getting one of the combat pets, the Beer Fairy or the Ember Wild Nymph. Those are not their real names. Those are the names that I most recently recall. But I don't know if you have those on your character now. We can show them off.
I do. Sorry, I was reading chat.
It's kind of awkward because if you could consume this quest item, the mysterious invitation, with a legacy race character, it's like, what am I supposed to do with this? Well, the reality is you just received achievements if you create a dwarf or a warborn character, and you can get this combat pet at level 30. I'll add that to patch notes also because there've been a lot of questions about it.
Yeah. Let's make sure. Are we still showing them off right over there?
We are.
Yeah,
I
I have the
to
beard up
interrupt.
right now, along with a swarm of people, which is pretty awesome. Also, I have Flame Imp. I have that one too.
Cool. They are so awesome. I can't wait to see people running around with them.
Oh, the achievement music.
I know.
That new achievement
Flame
music.
Imp,
It's so
what's
good.
up?
It takes me off guard every single time I hear it. Still. So we've been over this. So let's move down to other new things that have popped up in the game. And there's 2 items that I want to talk about. So in the vocation shop, there is a brand new item that lets you reduce proficiencies down from the famed rank, and that's the proficiency modification certificate. Why would someone ever want to do that? And also, what's this business with specialization snowflakes?
Hold that thought for one moment. From chat,
Okay.
The Beer Fairy, Beer Nymph, and the other Warborn Nymph are for dwarves and Warborn only. It's kind of to get you guys to try out the new races and get a thing at level 30. So it's not usable on your legacy characters. Okay, now back to the vocation question. So if we open up the skills menu and take a look at vocation.
Vocation or proficiency?
That screen is fine. So the tooltip at the bottom basically kind of communicates the new rank that's existed. It's called the famed rank. That is the title given to the skill increase from 180,000 to 230,000. Now, in ArcheAge, the way it exists on live servers, you can increase the number of max skill vocations at 180k that you have due to consuming specialization snowflakes, and you can pretty much do that several times at an increased cost each time you do it. With the introduction of the famed rank, a character can only have a certain number of proficiencies at famed. And that's divided up on the skills menu based on the classification of skills. So you can have up to 2 what we call harvesting proficiencies. Those are the 6 at the top, like fishing or husbandry, things that are gathered from the land. You can have 2 of those at famed rank. You can have up to 3 crafting skills, the central skills on that window at famed rank, 3 of those. And then 2 miscellaneous skills at famed rank for a total of 7 skills proficiencies at famed rank per character. Specialization snowflakes do not influence that at all, with the exception that they may be needed to increase up to the prerequisite of obtaining those ranks initially. Now, when you have a skill at famed rank and you no longer wish to have that skill, that case is probably accurate. If you reach the max 2 or 3 in a certain category, you can use that new vocation certificate to downgrade your famed rank. So what this does is it makes it so you have to actually make the decision, more meaningful decision, on what skills you will take to famed rank. And then there's some a system where you are allowed to surrender it, but there's a lot of effort that has to happen there. That's definitely a change that's been made to the way that proficiencies work, and something you guys should consider when you're planning your famed recipes or how you will spec out your proficiencies.
So you gotta keep in mind what you
Strategy.
want to be going for.
Yeah. And we can show that on the vocation store. It's very expensive. I believe it's on the last page.
It should be the last page for all that. Yeah, proficiency modification cert.
Yep, and that's
Says
it. So you have to
magnificent
buy
should be
that
famed.
thing with vocation badges, and that will downgrade your existing famed rank.
Mhm.
And maybe some tiers too, because I mean, famed rank is pretty difficult to get. So,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Hopefully, I mean, it takes a long time to get to famed rank to begin with, so hopefully you realize before you already got there that, like, hey, wait, I don't want to spend a slot.
What is organic lube? Okay, we'll go back to that. 'Cause, guys, I don't know what your question means. Are you asking about organic lube in ArcheAge or just in general? I will
Go to
assume.
Whole Foods.
I will assume that you're talking
my
about
God.
the organic lube that's on the screen right now.
It's
in
been
ArcheAge.
renamed. We
It has
renamed
been
it.
renamed. It's axle
Yep.
grease now.
Axle
It's
grease.
basically a thing that you can buy with vocation points to increase the speed of your hauler for a limited duration. You Legacy players will remember a similar item that was given away for a previous event. It was like this yellow-looking Dwarven-style elixir that could be consumed to increase farm hauler speed, but that's what that thing does, and that is not the final name.
Nope. It adds 25% farm hauler speed for 4 minutes. It does stack with eco fuel. It's pretty rad, but we're not leaving that name because we know people will just link it in chat over and over.
But Ensign Skippy says, no, don't rename it.
I know, because you guys really, you're just going to keep one in your inventory so you can link spam it. Like, we know it's coming. We know. We know. It's getting ready.
But we mean it's coming. It's already been here. Have you been on PTS?
I know.
Wow, the comments.
The
Okay.
comments are good.
Next
All right.
topic, caller.
Next topic. So we're going from vocation to prestige. There is now an immigration request ticket in the prestige shop. What's that?
Prestige.
You're probably
What's
not
it
going to
do?
be able. Oh, you are. Oh no.
No, I'm not in a guild.
Okay. So a lot of questions, especially on PTS. What is this thing for? There's a 2,000 prestige ticket in the shop now. And it is the nation immigration ticket, and what that does is allows a guild leader to transfer their entire guild to a nation without having to re-roll the guild. So currently on live, if you want to join a nation with a guild, you have to kind of like disband, join the nation, recreate the guild from level 1. This allows you to migrate a guild over and maintain the progress the guild has.
Hell yeah.
Cool. That's nice.
It's pretty sweet.
Better than having to break the guild and then
Right,
bring
like
them all
lose
in.
all your
And...
levels and just lame.
Yep, definitely
Yeah.
not one of those things for everybody, but there are some folks who will appreciate that change.
Yep. All right, so let's move on to a couple of encounter stuff. Let's talk first about Delphinaud ghost ships and the changes that were made there, because there have been changes made there, and the community has pointed out that it definitely decreases the amount of gold entering the economy. Why were those changes made overall?
I think you just answered the question.
Yeah. Shh.
Question answers itself a little bit.
So the Delphinaud ghost ship spawns were changed. The Exalock spawn was removed, and the spawn time for them has lengthened along with the simultaneous spawn rate. And all of these things were done because in the history of ArcheAge, since the release of the DGS, it has been one of the top 3 single systems that have released the most gold into the world on a consistent basis. And it's caused this sort of thing where, you know, I mean, it depends who you ask, but some people will argue that the guild that kills the first DGS or becomes DGS capable as quickly as possible is at an advantage and puts them on a track that can't possibly can be contested by other people. So we felt that it was just necessary overall to reduce the number of spawns. And while Delphinaud ghost ship killing is still meaningful and still provides a great reward, the overall value of that has been decreased and kind of spread across both of those two. And that's just something that needed to happen across the board. You guys will see that there have been gold reduction across the board, across the board for a lot of existing systems.
Mm-hmm. And it's just to control the economy just a bit more. So otherwise, in the topic of under this topic, are we looking at the silver keys for chests? Because some people are a little concerned and they're a little confused that exploration proficiency is required. Is that intended?
It is intended, and it's the same model as in other regions. Crafting those keys also gives exploration proficiency, so there's a better way to obtain it other than just kind of visiting places or, doing exploration undersea. So, yep, it's a requirement, and that's kind of something that gives exploration folks, something to craft and something to improve their skill with.
All right, cool. Now, just to jump back to chat for a little bit, Claudia19 had a question. How do we get family increase tickets? And I think these are specifically the tickets that you would buy to increase the number of slots on your family.
I'm actually not sure. I do believe it's a marketplace item, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sounds like marketplace. But otherwise, the other tickets that you'll need in order to bring family members in and out of your family, those are on the general merchant, correct?
Yeah. It's the cap increase one that's the marketplace item.
Okay, cool. And there you go, Claudia. Now, Cavato wanted to ask, does fishing have any patch notes and changes to it?
It does. We just added a couple.
We just did.
I know. So basically what's going on is the patch notes that are currently on PTS are about 70% complete. There are some patch notes that are being rewritten in greater detail than what we were provided. And so what that means is we may see a line that's like, you added 162 new achievements. Yes, that definitely summarizes.
I'm going to get the cutscene.
Okay, I thought that was me for a second. Crash.
That
was not me. That was not a Crow and Crash. Okay. 162 achievements. We think that that patch note absolutely needs to be expanded upon. So we're doing the laborious task of kind of reviewing the patch notes provided by Excel and improving them. I have to say also though that Excel did provide really great patch notes this time around, but it is a process that you guys will see unfold over the next week on PTS. And the goal is to give you the most information that we possibly can. You'll see those changes evolve, like how we just released the table for percentage increase on tax certs.
Cool. So another question from chat, and this question just spat by me. Are we going to be disabling any world bosses on the launch of Reckoning and Prophecy?
No.
Okay. Done.
Done.
A lot of the changes are kind of made at the build level, and you see that in a reduction to existing systems that kind of cause the inflation, most notably the hero reward system and the Delphinaud ghost ship system. And then across the board changes just to kind of bring other things in line. But yeah, what you guys see is what's going to be available. There were questions about will certain dungeons be open like Serpentis and Mistsong Summit. I believe we have a question coming up about that.
We do, yes.
Yep, so I'll leave that for then.
Actually, we're kind of there. That's kind of going to be the next forum one because now we're on encounters in the game. So if you just want to tackle it now, let's just tackle it now.
I will tackle it, sure. So the dungeons will be enabled. What you guys are seeing on PTS currently is basically what we're going for. I mean, there were questions about will the Oclera be active at the release? Will Kraken be active at release? Yes, all of the world bosses will be active at release. That's another topic. Some people, I'm totally jumping all over the place now, but that's okay. So some folks asked, will you be locking land when the Fresh Start server is released? Because apparently in other regions, land was locked and unable to be claimed for a certain amount of time. That was done for different reasons that I think people are fully aware of, but on our servers, I think we can say that land will be claimable as soon as you are capable of doing so. So we aren't holding back with any of that stuff, and we think that that's important because if you guys played at launch and last time we did a Fresh Start, the meta has definitely changed with what should be rushed and where you should go based on the other content that's available. For instance, there are some dungeons that we have now that we didn't have previously. When you look at the items that they provide, may fit into your path of progression for how you approach Fresh Start this time.
Cool. That didn't. Did we actually talk about Miss Song and Serpentis? Because we kind of jumped around for a minute there.
Sorry. The things I wanted to say are Miss Song will be enabled on all 3 modes.
Okay.
And it's definitely going to be difficult because the gear level is demanding for that dungeon. With regard to Serpentis, the thing that I wanted to say is the dungeon will be open. It is an early rush point, and we will review Serpentis on a much stronger basis than we have in the past with regard to respecting the way that the dungeon was intended to be moved through. There have been changes over the last couple months that have improved the way Serpentis works with regard to going out of bounds and trying to compromise existing mechanics. But folks who will be doing that may not like the results, as disciplinary action will be applied for that sort of thing.
Ooh. So don't do that. In short. All right, so now we are jumping around a little bit. Now I'm going to be the one who's jumping around, and I'm going to grab a question from chat. This because it's been asked for a while, and I want to definitely get this guy an answer. So Gerthros of Nazar has asked, will mansions become new family homes? Or if we upgrade the mansion, will we need to remove all the items from the house to upgrade? I guess, will mansions automatically become new family homes?
I am very confused on that question.
All right. If you could, Gerthros, if you could actually clarify that a little bit for us, we'd be super appreciative on it.
I mean, upgrading houses like definitely should pull all your decor and stuff before you upgrade, because it's just going to replace the house.
Yeah, I need clarification on type of upgrade you mean. I mean, yeah, if your family moves into that house with you, it's definitely your family's new house.
Yes.
Like if they're in there and they're RPing with you, yep.
Definitely your
But I
family's
need more
new house.
clarification to give you a more mechanical answer about that.
Okay, yeah. So we've done taxes, we've done this. So let's briefly, the skill queue toggle, we were talking about that a while back that we had requested it. Is it still being considered for the game?
Yes, in short, yes. It has taken a backseat to the 3.0 preparation. And again, I've mentioned this in the past, so I'll just recap. But the biggest challenge is how do we introduce a toggle that still makes it fair and is not abusable to have the toggle and then also use the rapid fire skills. So it's on the table. It is a lower priority behind the release of Revelation currently.
Cool. Also from the forums, there's been a lot of discussion around the final collectible coin, Jean's Dignity.
Yes.
And they're wondering if there are any plans or what are we doing with the Jean's Dignity coin, because it didn't come out within the login tracker.
Ideally, we would have provided it before the 3.0 update to kind of add closure to that pretty awesome system and allow you guys to finish that collection and build those portraits. The problem with that is since a lot of effort was devoted to the 3.0 build and we cut over earlier than we had liked on our internal environments just to give enough time for 3.0, and that allowed us, we didn't have as much flexibility as we wanted to add that to a live build. So it will be added at a date in the future. We're not just going to let that one go. But right now the bigger concern is if we add that to the game, we can't do it just for legacy servers, and that would allow people on Fresh Start to accumulate those 10 Gilda stars from turning it in for the quest if they didn't want to have the item. So that's kind of where we're at now. When Fresh Start stabilizes a little bit more, we'll likely add that into a future build. I don't know if it will be through the login tracker. It may be through another mechanic, but we'll have to see. I think that's something we should follow up with probably around end of January, beginning of February.
Cool, okay. So it's going to be a while for those players then, in short, because of the development times and servers.
Server stats.
Yep.
Yeah, server stats, cool. Moving onwards, let's talk about Fresh Start overall. There's a lot of questions about Fresh Start. So one from the chat that I've already saw, when are the Fresh Start servers being launched? And technically it's going to be the same day as the rest of the servers, right?
It is. So it's going to be on our intended release date of December 10th. The exact release schedule for all server types and each individual server has not been made public yet, but we will, I would say, probably towards the middle or end of next week. It's going to be one of those things that gets announced right before it's available. But, yep, that will give you guys the ability to plan. I can say that it will be during an appropriate time of that Saturday for both regions, and it will be staggered by region. So
cool.
We're looking to release in the afternoon for both regions, but exact time is still not announced.
Mm-hmm. And now the other side of the coin is, when can I make my Fresh Start account? I need to make it!
Let's make an account now!
So This is an interesting question, but basically the requirements for Fresh Start is that you don't have a character on an account and that you have never had a character on the account. Deleted characters count. Logging into ArcheAge counts. So those accounts are flagged as legacy accounts. If you create an account now, in theory, and you don't create any character on the account, you can log into Fresh Start with it and make that decision, as you guys have seen, that we have split up on PTS, or like if you were there during the last couple days, you would have noticed that the PTS2 server was there. So basically the way the system works is when you have that new account, the first character you make on either server determines what server type you are locked into. Now, we haven't officially supported and said, everybody go make your Fresh Start accounts, because we are in the final stages of testing with that system. And I want to be 100% certain that when we tell you guys it's okay to make the accounts, that it is, and that we won't have to back down from that. So we are holding off on giving that official go-ahead. But I mean, really, the account creation process is a quick thing. And we'll have a decent amount of downtime before the update. I know there are concerns with the account registration servers will be slammed with everybody trying to make their new accounts. But we will allow for enough time to occur that even if that is the case, you will have multiple days to be able to create those accounts before it's available. But again, technically, right now, you should be able to do it. If you have never logged into ArcheAge, don't have any deleted characters, and that sort of thing. And if you are intending to add credits or patron status to your existing accounts, I would wait until you log in and have the ability to do that from the server.
Cool. And then the other side of this is, of course, Fresh Start packs. A lot of people have been asking, when are we going to be announcing information about them? When can I buy Fresh Start packs? They just want to get more clarity on how that process was going to work.
I'm letting Amory answer this question.
Screen's going to get kind of boring for a minute because I have to actually stop moving to
Want
talk
me to drive?
about this. Do you want to drive?
Yes.
I don't know if this mouse reaches.
I don't
Don't
even
get
need
me
a
killed,
keyboard. Watch
please.
this. I don't need
Fun.
a keyboard.
You're going to get me killed.
Mouse only driving.
All right, packs. Fresh Start packs. There are also obviously legacy packs. There are going to be 2 sets of packs for 3.0, depending on the flag of your account. So if your account is flagged as a legacy account, you will only be able to see the legacy packs for purchase. If your account is flagged as Fresh Start, you will only be able to see the Fresh Start packs for purchase. Those packs will be available with the launch of 3.0. So some point during the weekend while we're getting ready for that December 10th launch, I don't have a specific time yet, they will be available for sale. You will be able to buy them for launch. That is kind of the goal and point of a lot of what's in these packs. Main difference, the packs follow the same format that our usual packs do with the 3 tiers. Things like the patron time and credits included will remain the same. If you are on a legacy server, your packs will include some of kind of the usual suspects, especially some of the regrade items. You will include some things like a storage chest, a permanent personal post parrot, a wrapped Nightfire glider. That was that blue Phoenix glider that I was flying around on earlier on screen, which Merv actually has. Here. That guy.
Look at that.
This glider is rad. This is
deploy
only
glider.
in the legacy packs. This glider does not come with the Fresh Start packs, all right? Because we do have a split in terms of like how far items have progressed. If you are a Fresh Start player looking for a Fresh Start pack, you will also have 3 tiers of packs to choose from. They will also include that patron time and the credits that you are usually expecting. It will have a lot of items that are related to leveling faster, vocation earning faster, the usual kind of boost potions. You will also be seeing things like an Anywhere Warehouse, which doesn't exist on Fresh Start, right? The version for Fresh Start requires you to be level 40 to use it. So even though you're being able to get it on day 1, you're not going to be able to make a level 1 character and start dumping things, in and out of that warehouse from anywhere. Some of the other items included with the Fresh Start packs are lower tier regrade items, so you're not going to see reds or superior reds or resplendents in there. A wrapped racing zebra. Again, this is a mount. This is a mount on par with other mounts available on Fresh Start servers. It is a customized version for Fresh Start that is 9 meters per second. So it looks cool. It's the racing zebra, but it is not the 10 meter per second racing zebra that was and has been available on legacy servers. Other items in here are wrapped personal post parrot for Fresh Start servers. Again, this will also have a level 40 requirement to use. I'm trying to be very clear so people understand what they're getting here. You can't use that parrot to summon a mailbox on a level 1 character that's land rushing. You will need to be level 40 before you can use it. Also coming with that will be the Feathered Hope glider. That was one of the launch gliders that was available. It has launch glider stats. So it is on par with the other gliders available on the server at launch.
Amory, it sounds like a lot of care was put
It's
into
a
dividing
lot.
those packs.
I mean, the point is, the point is to make this about convenience and about cosmetics, right? People have a lot of opinions on what isn't appropriate to be sold or immediately available on Fresh Start, and that's the goal of all of these packs.
There were some questions from chat because you mentioned the Racing Zebra mount.
Yes.
And also the glider. Will those other versions of those things be available on the store? Like, can I buy the normal 400 credit mount on the store? Or
I
are
have
gliders
a whole
available?
list of stuff in
Okay,
here. Sorry,
you came
it's
prepared.
very long. I know. I printed it out because this is like a 6-page list. Okay. The marketplace and pack changes are really significant for the split between Fresh Start and Legacy accounts. So now let's talk about kind of marketplace items that are available for Fresh Start
Just
servers.
about to transition into that, but
Good.
yes.
All right.
Good segue.
YOLO. Let's do it.
Do it.
Legacy servers, you will also see some changes. So I'm going to have to start talking about this kind of from the top, I guess.
Let's just go for Fresh Start for now.
Fresh Start for now? Okay. Let me find out what I got in here.
Before we move any further,
Yes.
the Anywhere Warehouse, has
Yes.
that currently right now has a bug in it, and people are wondering if that bug has been fixed,
Right, where you can't
sometimes
spawn it during housing zones.
Yeah.
I'm actually unsure. To be completely honest, I have no idea if they fixed that in 3.0. I should go try it.
Cool.
I haven't seen a patch note, so I don't know.
All right, sorry. So we'll
All right.
get that in there quickly. Please continue.
No worries. Fresh Start restricted items. These are items that will not be available for purchase on the store for Fresh Start for any of the starting Land Rush period. Wagon upgrade tickets. Going higher than 4 slots on a wagon will not be available. Any of the 9+ meter per second mounts, so like Kamari, the Griffin, Mirage mounts will not be available. Vehicle upgrades will not be available. None of the full kit garden or farms, like the Solar, Lunar, Stellar farms, they will not be available at launch on Fresh Start. Mining drills and majestic trees will not be available on Fresh Start at launch.
With the exception that you can still buy them for vocation.
For vocation. I'm talking about specifically store items on the marketplace right now.
Yep.
Higher tier storage chests will not be available on Fresh Start at launch. Some of the launch gliders will still be there. Basically, if it was an original launch mount in like kind of the 8 meters per second range or a launch glider with the moderate stats, those will be there. What else can I add? Loyalty purchase, actually on the loyalty store. Rumbling Archeum trees will not be available for loyalty purchase on Fresh Start at launch. Neither will Companion Crust, so you can't kind of speed bump your mounts up really quickly. And the loyalty store is going to be seeing a bunch of kind of general changes anyway, as a lot of the cosmetics get cycled out. So all of those cosmetics that you see on legacy servers will not be available for loyalty on Fresh Start. People are calling out that I am saying on launch. That is deliberate. At some point, eventually over time, we will start adding items back into Fresh Start, but it will be after the server has caught way up in power with some of the older servers.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's one of the things that a lot of people are bringing up in chat and have been brought up on forums and PTS. It's like, sounds like you guys are going to do a great job for Fresh Start at release, but then over time, all this stuff is going to come back, and that's just going to cause that problem
Yep.
then. The reality is, some of this stuff is really appropriate for certain parts of the game, and I think in our past, one of the big things that caused these concerns were that these items were introduced well before their time and what was appropriate.
Right.
When logs are abundant, no one cares if there's an increased ability to earn logs. It's during the early stages of the game where it's most impactful. People have asked, what is the schedule then on when these items will be re-released to the game? And that's currently undetermined. So by it being undetermined, that means we don't have any set time frame that we're going to say, yes, throw this stuff back. Upgrade haulers to 8 slots because that's appropriate in 2 months. We don't know. We need to monitor the state of the server, and we'll make those decisions based on the state of the server. Similarly to how those decisions were made as to when Fresh Start servers should join existing auction house clusters, be eligible for character transfers, it's something that we need to monitor. Now, we've gone through great efforts to extend what we call the Rush era. That's the existing part of ArcheAge that occurs within the first 2 months that are the most iconic periods of ArcheAge. That means things like secret tree farms or building your first houses, just where the competition is fierce. We are committed to having these items removed from the game during the rush period because people need to kind of play that through using in-game mechanics without having any supplemental benefits. At some point, it is appropriate. No one wants to drive a 2-slot hauler for
2
10 months,
years, yeah.
right? And you guys will agree, when the hauler upgrades come out, yes, it is a thing that you can purchase off the marketplace with credits, but it's also a quality of life thing that is important. So it's our commitment, and as you guys have seen, we've gone through great effort to kind of dissect ArcheAge and approach this time by restricting things, addressing problems and main concerns that have been brought up in the past, and we're committed to that. I realize it's going to take trust on your guys' part, but I hope that what you've seen so far is an indication of our intent and what we plan to do. Now, it's also important for me to say that ArcheAge is not a game that's developed by TrionWorlds, so there's always that negotiation process between us and Excel that is important on what should be allowed, what isn't allowed, how should labor change, and Excel is really closely aligned with our goal of what we're trying to accomplish here. So what you guys will see in the forthcoming week is our best effort in that regard, and I really hope that we meet your expectations. Equally important, I hope you guys give us a chance and try it out for yourself and see the level of effort that we put forth for the last month.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been seeing even more items in here that I didn't get to call out. The Birch Treehouse, not going to be available. Archeum from Lockboxes, not going to be available. Shouts of Forgiveness, not going to be available. I mean, it's definitely heavily restricted compared to what the legacy servers have available to buy.
Mm-hmm. So I will get that full list posted to the forums, right?
Yeah.
With
yes,
everything.
and basically these are patch note-worthy changes. I mean, there are labor
Yeah.
changes to labor potions coming for the entire game, both Legacy and Fresh Start, you know, and that needs to be shown too.
Yep, and I was standing on my soapbox a little bit ago,
Yes.
just kind of...
But it's cool, it's good, because I mean, people are really skeptical, and it's like,
soapbox.
guys, we spent months trying to make this happen.
The Corlin speech that I've delivered
we're
many
hyped.
times over previous issues, but the thing is, guys, I'm saying this stuff like it's not just us sitting here going, we think it should be this way. I can say that at least 60% of these changes have been driven by you.
Yep.
It's feedback that we received last year when we released Fresh Start, from things like the account segmentation process. You guys remember last year at Fresh Start, when you created those new accounts, everybody used their legacy progression on Fresh Start servers.
Yep.
The level of effort that was dedicated by XL Games and the Tryon team to ensuring that those were separate this time around is a huge thing, an absolutely huge thing, and it took us months to accomplish. But that's driven by your guys' feedback. A lot of these changes are driven by your guys' feedback. And I think Fresh Start will live up to the expectation this time around. That's not to say that it won't have its own problems. They will come up. You guys will bring it up, and we'll take it into account and do the best that we can with it.
Yeah, just on that note, I think that's the thing people really don't get to see a lot is that behind the scenes, how things work. You know, when we sit in meetings, you know, are we reading the forums? Are we taking your all of your feedback into consideration? The answer is yes. You know, when we sit down in all these meetings, you know, from my reports and you guys looking at the forums on your own, like a lot of the ArcheAge staff does read the forums, and we constantly talk about what you guys are saying or what you're saying to us in game or what we read when we're in faction chat and we're playing on a different character and we just don't tell you guys, right?
Yeah.
Or you send to us, you know, wherever we're at. Even right now, people are PMing me their thoughts, and I can't answer them because obviously we're doing the live stream. But we try and take all of that into consideration and use that as guidance for what we want to do in the future. So thank you. Always, thank you.
Question from chat about Fresh Start. The price of the 16 by 16 cottage, is it being increased to 25 Gilda Stars like it is in other regions? The answer is no, it's 15 Gilda Stars.
Cool. Another question from chat is, do the 2014 founders get anything for Fresh Start? Will they have any of their items?
Guys, I just got done talking about how we took your feedback into consideration using the past 2.0 in September of last year. And one of the big feedback points was we're not doing anything for founders with regard to the Fresh Start servers. So this year we've put together a package that all founders will receive. Now, if you are an ArcheAge founder, and there's a lot of you, when we pulled the list the other week, I was just amazed at how many of there you are. We will be emailing you a code. That code will be sent to whatever email address corresponds to your previous founder account. That code can be consumed on a legacy server or on a Fresh Start server at the time Revelation is available. That code will give you this box that Amory has in her inventory. Opening this box gives you the original Desert Assassin's plate costume. That was the one that was available in the Launch Founders pack. It also gives you the cloak that has the minor stat bonuses that were available then, very small stat bonuses. It gives you the Trailblazer title, and most importantly, it gives you the Dawnbreak Dove Golden Phoenix glider. This is a tribute to the existing launch glider. It was the Red Phoenix glider at release. This is kind of a rehash, and it's being given to you for free if you're a founder
It's got to load in.
Going to take a second to load, but you'll notice that when it does, it has these great metallic colors. It's not just a gold glider. It has like this ultimate shimmer and iridescence to it.
Not in the best place.
And, you know, it's a great thing. Now, if you're a founder, you can use that. Again, Fresh Start, Legacy, wherever you want to apply the code, it'll be available for you there. And if you don't want to use that code, you're more than welcome to give it away. But this is just something that we kind of put together, and we thought that, you know, you guys would enjoy it.
Yep. So, founders, thank you for everything. And thank you for sticking with us for so long. And hopefully you guys like those cool new items and make great use of them.
I wanted to mention that Quilladon had called out that so we were talking about the mysterious invitation and the Dwarf and Warborn ability to get the nymph pet, the beer nymph pet. And I mentioned that was only for Dwarf and Warborn. So the Dwarf and Warborn characters are the ones that acquire the item, but the item is tradable. It can't be listed on the auction house, but it can be traded character to character. So if you end up making a Dwarf or Warborn, you can trade that to your legacy character if you want to. Again, can't be sold on the auction house. Thanks, Quilladon, for bringing that up.
Yes. Another question from chat from our good buddy Lionheart, who's been, I think he just saw the refuge changes. And if you want to talk about the refuge changes a little bit here as well, because they were added to the patch notes quite recently. But for sieges, there's a bit of a change to how the refuge buff is now calculated. And there are some concerns in the community on how castles will have to reformat themselves.
Yep. So we learned about that change mostly from another region, encountering it on a surprise kind of basis, and we saw what happened there. It was not well documented in notes. That kind of happened across the board. So what we did was call that out as quickly as possible. If you're a castle owner, you're familiar with the way that the refuge buff works currently. It's dependent on the number of walls and towers that you have for your castle. 3.0 adds a new dependency, and that's a number of progressed farms to obtain the refuge buff. That will be added in our version with release. I know those farms are somewhat difficult to upgrade, but we're bringing you this announcement as early as we possibly can, as soon as we found out about it, so you guys can plan ahead, plan accordingly to defend your castles. So I would advise that if you're a lord, you take into consideration the announcement that we made and prepare accordingly.
And we don't have that much time left, unfortunately. I've been trying to let the question and answer session go as long as possible. I think we got most of the major questions done.
I'm going to just go through chat real quick. Increase or decrease jail time for pirates, that's correct. In 3.0, pirates only go to jail for 30 minutes, not 40. And other races that go to jail have their time extended. It's basically 150% of previous time. So based on the way that the jury finds you, you may find yourself in jail more than you did previously. Another thing is, you guys remember our removal of Droughts of Forgiveness that will especially affect Fresh Start. Of course, there's still a way to get it through Honor, but they're not being sold or available in lockboxes. The last thing is, with the Bloodlust mode, if you are in Bloodlust mode, say Amory's in Bloodlust mode and she's fighting, I'm a healer. I cannot heal her while she is in Bloodlust mode and I am not. If I try to heal her, it will default to myself. And that was a big change. I don't think everybody's fully aware of that change, but that makes a big deal.
Big change.
I can heal her if I activate Bloodlust mode on myself, but that really kind of changes the way the green pirating mechanic. So I hope you guys take a look at that note. It's a big change. Yeah. One more thing on the screen I wanted to show you guys. This is the Razor Snick.
Oh, yeah. Razor Snick.
Razor Snick.
We're proud to show him off. He looks awesome. He's modeled after the twin-head Viper, but as you can see, he has the Razor colors. Right? And Razer, I mean the great company that makes peripherals for gaming and for your computer. Now, we're going to have a promotion with Razer at the release of 3.0, likely just after the release. And so you should stay tuned to an email that we send out or the Razer website. If you have an account created there, that's probably going to be a good thing. But you have the opportunity to get this combat pet. Now, he's been tuned, so he's appropriate for Fresh Start. He's not that OP. It's mostly just the colors that are really awesome. So that's kind of a cool thing that you guys will be able to take part of. Now let's give stuff away.
Well, one more question before we run off and we bask in the glow of the wonderful Razor Snick. Final question: How are we making determinations on when to merge Fresh Start servers with the normal server population, i.e., auction house merging and character transfers?
So that question I need to take apart a little bit. First of all, we have not ever merged a Fresh Start server with an existing server.
Yes.
We have joined auction houses and allowed transfers in and out. I don't have a firm timetable for that. I can say that last year it took about 6 months before we joined auction houses and about 9 months before we allowed transfer. Before you guys go on and saying, in 6 months, this will happen, that's not the case. We need to evaluate how our changes affect the rush area, whether it's elongated, and we'll push it back if that's necessary. Again, it's all dictated by interaction with the server, and all of our decisions going forward will be largely based on that. Who wants a Dark Shaman costume? I see a lot of X's, so I would assume that's most of you.
I think all of those people Xing up would like one.
Yes. I think people are into that. Just a little bit.
Here we go, I'm going to roll. This is for a Dark Shaman costume.
Not
We're giving
the costume I'm
away
wearing.
5 of them. First Dark Shaman costume goes to Jakun. Congratulations,
Congrats.
Jakun. Number 2 Dark Shaman costume goes to Kitix89. Congratulations, Kitix89. Let's do 3 more. Good luck, friends. Third one goes to Sipsio.
Skipsio. Congratulations.
This is the costume that's currently available on the marketplace. It kind of has that hood with the horns.
I don't actually
pretty
have
cool
one
looking.
on me.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys have seen it
I
on
like
live. It's
everything
pretty
else
awesome
but-
looking costume. And it looks like Mantha Monster is our 4th winner of that costume. Congratulations, Mantha Monster.
Nice.
This is our 5th and final Dark Shaman costume. It goes to AA Jojo. Congratulations, AA Jojo.
Awesome.
Sweet.
We have one more giveaway.
We do.
We have one more
I will-
item, so I'm glad chat has kept Xing up.
Maybe we'll
Yes.
talk just for a little bit while you
While
guys
people
finish
do
Xing
this.
up. But we're going to give away a Hellwing Pegasus.
See this awesome horse? We're gonna give one of these guys away.
It's wrapped. It comes with Armageddon armor. You may want it. I don't know.
Pretty sweet, to be
If
honest.
you do want it, you should be Xing right now. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
It's pretty majestic.
This is for legacy servers. Hellwing Pegasus will not exist on Fresh Start servers.
Nope. It is only
Ajax.
available as a pre-order bonus
Legacy
on the legacy
server
pack.
only. Here we go. Let's roll it. Good luck, everybody.
Apparently, it's the official mount of Yada costumes.
Hellwing
from
Pegasus
16.
goes to Marxon48.
Congrats.
Marxon 48. Congratulations on your Hellwing Pegasus, complete with Armageddon armor. It looks awesome.
Super awesome.
So guys, thank you for entering. If you won, you will get a message from us, from the TrionWorlds account, asking you for a little bit of information. Once you get that information back to us, we will be able to assign you your winnings on the servers themselves. So please send that in to us as fast as possible. And now, normally I would say here, hey, make sure to catch us next week. But you can't, because we're going to be working next week.
We will be
All
head down
in Austin next
bringing
week.
you 3.0. We mentioned before that we're going to be gone during this week, and the team is going to be hard at work doing that. So looks like we're going to have to see you guys on the other side.
Yeah.
Who's
so,
hyped for it? I know I'm hyped
super
for it.
hyped.
Can't
I'm hyped.
wait.
I'm hyped because I'm getting you guys tacos when you guys come down here.
It's gonna be rad.
Tacos, huh?
It's gonna be great. I'm there.
Tacos.
I'm down.
We're doing tacos.
All
Good.
right, guys, that's awesome. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoy the rest of the testing on PTS, and damn it, can't wait for Revelation on December 10th. See you guys there. Have a great
See you.
weekend.
Enjoy, guys. Bye.